morning, David.
Good morning, Mike. You start talking about with DeMarcus Lawrence showing up on the injury report with the foot, just what happened and what's he dealing with.
Yeah, I mean it was an injury in the game, but we've always taken care of Marcus on Wednesdays, so just being smart with him, and the intent is for him to play on Sunday.
He'll be limited today.
He'll be limited today again. Yeah.
And the other guys, as far as Barr and where Brown is in concussion.
They're both going to probably start with Britt and then try to get some reps today. So.
Clarence, what's the mindset of this team? I know there's a lot of anger. Is there still anger? You move that behind you. How do you?
Oh, it's Thursday. Yeah, I mean, we've had plenty of time to be angry. So yeah, I think I've done a really good job Monday getting in here, getting everything corrected. With the workout and the video. We had a really good day yesterday. I thought the practice was extremely sharp. So I mean, we got a big opponent here Sunday. This is I've been so impressed with Minnesota on video. So that's where our mind is.
Christy Scales, Cowboys Radio. With the Vikings at Hawkinson at tight end, is he being used differently than how Detroit used him, and how were they incorporating him?
There's a lot of similarities. I mean, once again, he's does a really good job in the quarterback movement, phase of it. So you definitely see that. I think they do a really good job matching him up, particular matchups. And if you go back to Detroit, I mean, you look at the shifts and motions. They did some things to really stress your defensive front. He was part of that. So, but yeah, there's definitely some similarities.
Yeah.
Mike Edwarder, ESPN. Can you tell us where you are with Zeke and his recovery and expectations for today? And beyond that, you've gotten 300-yard rushing games out of Tony this year, but you obviously feel like you're at your best when you have both those guys. What is it that you really lose or need when you don't have Zeke?
I definitely agree with your point. First off, I mean, Zeke had a really good day yesterday. I just to go back to last week, I thought he practiced well, but it was the recovery of the day after and things like that. So that's why he didn't play. But anxious to see how much he does today. So he looks good. But yeah, definitely. I mean, the 1-2 punch, or whatever how you want to phrase it. I mean, and I say this all the time. I just cannot make the point strong enough. I mean, when you can line up and call plays and not worry about who's in the game, and you have your full menu, and they're two of your best players on offense. I mean, these guys need to touch the ball. I mean, that's one of the things I focus on during the game. Make sure these guys get touches.
Mike Fisher, Fan Nation, Sports Illustrated. Mike, how much do you need to guard against having players who did this after the playoff game to some degree, and then Sunday too? Oh, it wasn't really our fault; it was the referee's fault.
I didn't see it that way. I think we got to be honest. We were disappointed losing that game. So if we're all going to be judged on the specific words that we use in those moments, then that's our responsibility. But I mean, the fact of the matter that they share their thought process. They're frank about how they're feeling and so forth. I would think, you all would love it. But I think the fact of the matter is, I mean, you have a little bit of time in the locker room to get yourself together and answer questions. But trust me, we're focused on penalty prevention, education. We spent more time on it this week. It's the numbers are what they are. I mean, if you look at the, we've had 4 games where we're double digits, and in the only game I think we won was in New York, but I think we had 11, they had 8 or 9. So it's something that obviously it's going to vary week to week. I mean, the statistics show that based on who your crew is, but at the end of the day, we just got to make sure that we're in tune with the indicators, and that's what we're focused on. It's part of our fundamental drills. It's part of the technique, video evaluations. As far as you get tied up with a guy, what you're doing at the end of the play. Because you can be 95% right as far as how you're blocking somebody or getting off a block, and if you give that one indicator, and that's what they see. So, I mean, there's obviously evidence to make a call. So, I mean, we got to recognize that. So we're just really focused on the fundamental component of it.
Calvin Watkins, Dallas Morning News. Along those lines, competitive penalties and technique and the mental, how much do you try to gauge?
Well, frankly, I mean, just had a long conversation yesterday with a number of people, and we break the penalties down, but just because they're combative penalties don't make them okay. I mean, the reason why I've always broken them down that way, because it lines up in how we talk about football. You have win the pre-snap, so pre-snap penalties. You talk about the 2.3, what's going on during the game. So you have two type of penalties there: combative and discipline. So it's a really good way to sort them. Because it gives you a chance to really identify the indicators, and because let's be honest, it's really technique and fundamentals, and we get to this time of year, Thanksgiving's around the corner and practice goes down, and so we just got to continue to emphasize these things. And then the last part is the conduct penalties, and they usually happen after the 2.3. So it's a big part of that progression of teaching and categorization is really lines up with how we look at football, as far as our mannerisms, as far as winning the pre-snap, the pursuit and finish, all that's tied together as part of how we train and our progression of how we look at things.
Mike Todd Archer with ESPN. You know how this works with Dak and the position that he plays, and the attention, the good and the bad that comes with it. How has he played in your mind since coming back from the injury, and do you need more from him?
I think the biggest thing is, and this is always the case with quarterbacks, just because of the specifics of how the position's played, the things that they touch. There's so many things that all these quarterbacks do in the National Football League that don't show up in the stats. So I mean, you have to recognize that. It's definitely part of their value. So, statistically, coming out of the last game, I mean, we talked. I think very open about the two interceptions. So we all understand what happened there, and I think the thing that we focus on is all the little details. Because I think we're 58, 59%, and and that's not our goal. Because end of the day, the passing game and running the football, we have to get the ball distributed. And we were close. I think we were 73% of our plays were distributed, but we want to be 75% plus.
Is it because he played so well to start last season, like that seems to be the marking point that everybody thinks he should be at?
Yeah, that's fair, Todd. That's very fair. But I think just like anything, you have injuries. You have, and these are the things that keep me up at night. Is all the little stuff. I don't think I could have talked, maybe talked too much about coming out of a bye week. If you look at the statistics, teams that come out of the bye week, 52% winning. So why is that? It's okay. What's that mean? Well, you got to identify it. How you try to get your team ready. You got to get your pace of operation up in practice. You got to get the mind speed clicking, and let's talk about Dak. Dak hadn't played a away game yet this year. So hadn't been outside since Philadelphia. So I mean, if people want to know what happened the first couple of throws, the feet and everything wasn't quite right. But once he got going, I thought he did a lot of really good things.
Yeah.
Mike, you've given up 200 yards rushing 2 games in a row, and that's been a lot of the talk and coming out of the game, and I'm sure some of your focus on defense. But do the Vikings really prevent you from, do you have to be wary of what they can do in the passing game with Jefferson and Thielen and Hawkinson?
Oh yeah, I mean this offense is extremely balanced. Thielen's obviously been there forever. I've just such high respect for him because you talk about doing all the little things. And Jefferson is premier as far as the top receivers in the game. So, and TJ's obviously a really good addition for him too. So I mean, when I look at offensive personnel, I always look at the perimeter players and how many do they have that really make you nervous or you got to focus on. And most teams have 3 or 4, some have 5. So, and if you look at them, I mean, they got the runner, they got the tight end, they got 2 receivers, and they got the quarterback. So I mean, this is a full focus week on how they want to get the ball. We understand that it's going to be outside zone getting off the bus. We're going to have to then as soon as I say that they're going to take a shot. But anyways, I think those kind of things. So we got to get ready to play. We clearly understand the last 2 weeks, and we have a responsibility to really everybody to answer those questions. And I think our guys have answered it and they're working on it.
Dave.
I kind of going back on what Todd was talking about and Dak. Is it like you say with Luck, the first time on the road? This is really week 5 for him. Decision making, physical. Is he just maybe a little more erratic than what you've seen him over, like say, second half of last season?
No. I mean, I see him every day. Dak Prescott is. I think he's his best days are ahead of him, and you know, I'm excited to work with him every day, what he brings to the table. So I mean, he's our quarterback, and I get the evaluation that we have to go through, but I have zero concerns for him.
Michael Gelkin, Dallas Morning News. How is Tyron Smith developing in his rehab?
Looks good. Looks really good. You know, he's obviously been in the meetings the last couple of weeks, and you know, he's moving very well. So don't have a timeline, but you know, we can talk about that when we get returned to play. But you know, Tyron looks excellent.
Will you be in pads today?
Yeah, being pass today. Is that okay?
That's fine. I didn't know if the.
Well, I don't want to
As long as we're not.
I just want to get fined. I figure I check in. You know, so.
I appreciate it. I didn't know if the schedule, if you. The 2 games in 4 days and all that stuff.
I'm on it. You know what the GPS was yesterday?
Give them
Sorry, I can't tell you.
All right.
All right, good.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.